there, everybody. Welcome to Unmistakably You. Happy, what day is it? It's Tuesday, right? Happy Tuesday. I'm just going to get us live on all of our platforms here. There we go. Hopefully, if you're joining us from Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, you can hear us and see us. And hopefully you're having a great Tuesday night. Anybody who is joining us, please feel free to say hi, pop a comment in there, share what you're drinking tonight. I am drinking bubbly from a very big glass because, let's be honest, champagne flutes are just too small. So I have bubbly, which is celebratory, in a very big glass. What have you got there, Emma?
Got some red wine.
Love it. Do you, what grape is it? Do you know?
No, this is my parents left it at my house from when I had them over for dinner. So
okay, we like free wine that gets left over. Amazing. Rebecca, do you want to make up something exciting sounding that you're drinking?
Well, we'll just say it's a clear liquid, and you can decide whether I am drinking water or straight vodka.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So for anybody who's joining us tonight, we are, I guess, 3/5 of our lead coordinators here at Unmistakably You. We know that it's a really busy season. December is just absolutely bonkers. I know personally, I have not even sat down all day. I was telling the ladies just before we went live that I just finished making 22 batches of brownies for teacher and custodian and office staff and neighbor gifts. So it's just one of those days. So we have regrets from Stella, who may join us a little bit later, and Reagan, who's unable to make it tonight. But we are 3/5 of the lead coordinators here at Unmistakably You. So let's just kind of introduce yourselves. So I'm Amy, for anybody who doesn't know me. I own the business and I come up with the crazy ideas, and these two deal with me and my crazy ideas. So I very much appreciate the patience from them. Emma, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi, I'm Emma. I've been with the team since 2021, I think. So it's been a few years now.
2021, I feel like, I mean, time has lost all meaning since COVID. But it seems like longer because you are just so awesome. It feels like you've been around forever.
Thank you.
Rebecca.
Hi, guys. I'm Rebecca. I am the studio manager and the social media nerd and, just helping out wherever I can. And I have been helping, as soon as you started saying years, I was like, what year was your munchkin born? I started helping out
2017.
Yeah, so around there. I think you were about 8 months pregnant, the first wedding I did for you, and then I've been just hanging out and helping with whatever you've needed since then.
Yeah, I think Rebecca has done all of the things. You have led weddings and assisted on weddings and decorated for weddings. And actually, speaking of the munchkin, I definitely recall you jumping in when I was like a week post C-section and we had a decor that needed some tweaking, and I had the babe in a carrier and I wasn't supposed to be moving, and I was sitting on a chair pointing and saying, go up there and do that and bunch that linen differently. And yeah, so Rebecca is currently our studio manager, so she deals with all of our rentals for baby showers and wedding showers and parties. And we just hosted a proposal on Friday night, which was super exciting. She said yes, which was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so we actually haven't done as many lives as we have in the past. We've kind of pivoted in terms of the way that we have been showing up for our clients, but it's exciting to be live again. And we always like to do a wedding wind down, we call it, for, obvious reasons, at the end of our season, which just wrapped up on Saturday. So this past weekend, we had had, like I said, one proposal that happened at our studio. So we helped one couple get engaged. And then on Saturday, we had 2 offsite weddings. So we helped those 2 couples get married. And then we had one elopement at our studio, which was awesome. So 3 couples married and 1 couple engaged. I would say that's a pretty successful weekend. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of debrief the year. We have some good, maybe some bad, and some ugly, and some wild and wacky, and hopefully exciting and inspiring maybe to share as well. So I don't know, do either of you want to lead us off with something that you saw this year that was different or fun or new or inspiring?
Sure. In the studio, we actually saw more people adding special traditions to even small elopement ceremonies. One of the big ones that I saw more of this year was actually hand fastings, which is
Love it.
a simple but fun tradition. Kind of has some Celtic roots that I love. But the really fun one for me was with one of our micro weddings. The bride disappeared back to the front room to get changed and said, "I'll be back in just a minute for some fun photos." And moments later comes in holding her dress up a little bit at the front with bright purple roller skates on. She was roller skating around our studio in her wedding gown, which was super fun.
Love that so much. And those attire changes, I mean, it's a really great opportunity for people to show off their fun or their quirky or their nerdy side. I know the wedding I just did this past weekend, it was awesome because the bride started out in a beautiful red dress for the Chinese tea ceremony and then changed into a more traditional Western white gown. And then at the end of the night came out in this really fun, flippy, flirty, black Wednesday Addams style dress, which was so cute. So I love the attire changes for personality reasons. Love that. Emma, what did you see that was fun or inspiring?
This past weekend was quite fun. We had beer boys going down the aisle. That was very fun. It's a really fun way. They wanted their wedding to feel laid back and relaxed. And that was a really good way to start the ceremony, making sure everyone felt like that.
I do love the beer boys. I've had that, I think, at one wedding, and it's just always fun, and it sets the tone right off the bat, for sure.
Yeah.
I know if Reagan were here, she would probably mention the white wedding bouncy castle that she had at Wheatfield Estate this year. I did one of those last year in Niagara, and I think it's just so much fun to get pictures of the couple, you know, in their wedding finery jumping in a bouncy castle, which is just hilarious. I also, on the kind of incorporating cultural traditions side of things, one of the weddings that I did back in May, instead of a wedding cake, they had a wedding cake shaped piñata, which I thought was amazing. It was super fun. We had some groomsmen help, so they sort of snuck out during dinner and they hung it in a tree outside, and then we asked everyone to come outside just at dusk, and it was really fun to, first of all, see the groom, you know, swing and miss epically, epic miss. But then once they finally got the piñata open, of course, it's that fun. I mean, I think everybody's a kid at heart where they all went running for the candy and the chips and that kind of thing. But, you know, I certainly love a good wedding cake, but the piñata was a really fun twist on that. So looking forward to 2025. If you follow us, keep an eye on our socials coming up at the start of the year. We've got some trend predictions to share with you. One of the exciting things that I did this year was I attended the Wedding MBA conference in Las Vegas just about a month ago. And it was awesome. I had never been to Vegas before, so it was great to experience the city. For anybody who knows me, I'm an enormous Elvis nerd. And so it was kind of cool to go to the Westgate Center, which is where Elvis had his residency, and to be able to nerd out that way. But more so, really, to be able to spend 5 days immersed in wedding world with trendsetters and people I listened to on podcasts. And I absolutely went up to Renee Dallo and told her I loved her, and had never met the woman before in my life. And I you know, so it was awesome to be able to be in that atmosphere and to talk about things that we're anticipating coming up for 2025. So we'll be sharing some trends coming up in the very near future. And so to be able to sit down tonight and chat about some of those things that we saw this year that may turn into London and surrounding area trends is kind of fun. So any sort of favorite couples or favorite stories or best memories to share from weddings this year? Or on the other side of that, maybe good saves, times that we came in especially handy, and it was obvious that hiring a coordinator or a planner was the best option because we saved the day.
I mean, I had one very unusual save at the studio this year, and I have to, on this one, give a shout out also to the photographer we were working with. It was for one of our micro weddings, and we did have a fantastic photographer working with us, and our bride went to get dressed in that front room, and I kind of hear a little bit of panic coming through the curtain. And it's like, are you ladies okay in there? So went in to find this lovely bride had picked up a secondhand dress and seen that it was her size. So she never worried about trying it on. And of course, bridal sizing, dress sizing on the street dress, not quite the same. So when we went to get her dressed, it was a corset back that had no corset strap at all. So we found our roll of ribbon. We're like, okay, we can ribbon this up. We can make this happen. No problem. But then went to get it on her. And unfortunately, the dress did not fit. It was not doable. It was not going to happen. So in that moment, photographer and I both look at each other, and she's like, I live 5 minutes down the street. I know where my wedding dress is. I'm like, my studio is upstairs. I have 2 wedding dresses. The 2 of us were like, hold tight. We'll be right back. Both took off to pick up wedding dresses that we had around, and we were able to actually find a dress for this lovely young lady. She actually ended up wearing the photographer's dress that she wore on her wedding day. And we were able to get her dressed up beautifully and sent down the aisle only about 2 or 3 minutes behind the original schedule, and got some amazing photos. And just, again, an unusual save. We normally can't provide a new wedding dress, but on this day we were able to help the bride.
I was about to say disclaimer.
Yes, we normally cannot provide additional wedding dresses if there is a problem with it. We can sew them. We can help with little things, but definitely try your wedding dress on first.
Yeah. So I think there are a few things to unpack there. Number one, we do come with a very well-stocked emergency kit. And I mean, we use something from our kit every weekend. The standard predictable things are, painkillers and Band-Aids and blister strips and our sewing kit and that kind of thing. This weekend, I actually gave out a set of pasties for a bridesmaid who changed her dress and didn't have appropriate undergarments, and the Band-Aids just weren't cutting it. So anyway, but the disclaimer here is we do not come with wedding dresses in every size. It just so happened. I mean, I feel like shout out to Cynthia from 112 Photography is appropriate at this point, because she absolutely did give her personal wedding dress to this particular bride. But in terms of sewing things, I mean, I absolutely have in the past. It was actually a couple of years ago, but I had a bride who went out for her photos, and her sister accidentally stepped on her train as they were getting back into the limo to come back to the venue. And unfortunately, the dress ripped all the way down the side seam, like from armpit to thigh. And so luckily, because again, I don't travel with my sewing machine, But, you know, luckily I was 5 minutes away from my house. So I did run out and grab my sewing machine and my robe, my bathrobe, and brought the robe back and said, here, change into this, sewed up her dress. But this past year, I absolutely did end up sitting on the floor a couple of minutes before the ceremony and sewing up the crotch of the father of the groom's pants, which did not make it in one piece from home to the venue. So, you know, sewing is definitely something that we do often, whether it's crotches of pants or more commonly it's hooks and eyes onto backs of dresses or that sort of thing. But I think Emma's having some technical difficulties, so hopefully she'll pop back in here. But I know that in terms of saves that we had this year, we won't go into great detail, but we absolutely had a wedding where the ring got lost. And this is, you know, something that we are very, very careful about. Obviously, we know that when you hire us, you trust us with not only the most important day of your lives, but also some important financial aspects like the rings, like keeping the card box clear and keeping those cards safe. And that's something that we take really seriously. But we did have a wedding this year. I was actually not working that day. And I had gone to a very divey bar actually in London to hear a friend's band play, and got a call from one of our coordinators that the wedding party, who had perhaps overindulged, had misplaced the ring. And so I ended up driving out to the venue, and long story short, we did find the ring. There were a couple of pivots that had to happen that day, and we give a lot of kudos to the bride for rolling with the punches. But we were able to actually find that ring, and everything in the end was all well and good. It certainly was not a calm and relaxing day off for me. But, you know, you're in the wedding industry. You got to kind of take it as it comes. So, yeah, in terms of, you know, we like to kind of say that we are an investment in your sanity. And I think that if you were to sit and read our Google reviews or to listen to us talk here, I mean, we could probably go on and on and on about things that we have prevented or solved or fires we've put out. You know, there are infinite little things that really I should write a journal and I should write all of these things down. But, you know, just thinking back over the past year from, you know, little things like making sure that the baker actually has the correct address to deliver the cake to. You know, this past weekend, I had a miscommunication between the couple and the venue in terms of the meal service time. And so they were not actually prepared to serve the meal at the time that the rest of the wedding was planning. So I ended up having to move some things around, and being on site and moving those things around helped keep it hopefully as seamless as possible for the guests, while helping the venue to have the extra time that they needed and keeping the couple more or less on track and getting all of the speeches and dances in, but moving them a little bit further ahead so that we could buy some time. So these are the kinds of things that we deal with on a regular basis that that hopefully help the couple to have a smoother day overall.
I think that's a really good way to put it. When we're talking about like that investment in sanity, it's kind of a bit of a three-pronged thing where we're helping you plan ahead of time, so there is a plan for the day. We're helping you communicate with the vendors that you're working with so that we're all working from the same page, instead of it being like Johnny, the DJ, and Joey, the photographer. We're all team couple that day working together.
Mm-hmm.
And it means if there are these little mix-ups or hiccups along the way, we already have this great team mentality and this communication going, that we can make these pivots with years of experience of, okay, what are our other options in this moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as I hate the word pivot after COVID, I think I'm finally getting back to a point where when I hear the word pivot, I no longer think so much about COVID, and I go back to what I always envisioned when I heard the word pivot, which is Ross Geller. Pivot, pivot. So, I mean, I do hate that word still. It gives me some COVID PTSD. But pivoting is, I mean, that's what we facilitate on every wedding day, because I mean, I've been doing this since 2009. I have not actually, and I should, but I have not actually counted how many weddings I've done. But there's not been a single wedding where we haven't had to tweak or massage or somehow, make slight manipulations to make the day flow better. So Emma's back. Hi.
Oh, hi. Don't know what happened. Just disconnected.
Yeah, it's the technology gremlins. I bring them with me. We were just talking about wedding saves. So we kind of talked about sewing people back into dresses and back into pants and finding lost rings and that kind of thing. But do you have a save from this year that stands out?
One that stands out, just because it's something I don't really think of when I work a wedding, is helping out the vendors. I recently had one where the photographer's wife locked herself out of a car and needed a car key, and managed to get in touch with me because the photographer was very busy doing what photographers do. So I was able to arrange to have, they were able to arrange someone to come to the venue and get that car key without interrupting the photographer at all. So the day still ran on time despite the hiccup there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that kind of thing is maybe something that couples don't think about when they hire a coordinator. I think as a couple, tend to think, okay, I'm going to hire this coordinator to help me, to keep me on track, to make sure my fiance is doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, I can't tell you how many, I mean, I don't want to put stereotypes on it, but how many brides I've sat down with who have said, you just need to keep an eye on the groom and the groomsmen and make sure they behave. And, I think that's kind of the mentality of a lot of people when they're planning and hiring a coordinator. But a large part of what we do is to help out the other vendors and to make sure that they actually have the mental bandwidth to do their jobs instead of having to have that holistic view of the entire workings of the day and making sure that all of the things mesh. And, that photographer, if he'd been worried about getting his wife back into her car, wouldn't have been as focused on taking creative, artistic, awesome photographs.
Yeah.
So that's always one thing that I like to think we excel at, is helping the vendors to have what they need to do their job and not have to worry about the other aspects of the wedding, that they know that we've got it, that we're going to communicate with all of the other vendors and make all of those pieces fit together, and they can just do what they've been contracted for.
And it helps the day run smoothly because you don't have to take time out of your timeline for those unexpected things. Like the photographer didn't have to step away from the couple. He had the key in his pocket. I just took it from him. He was able to keep going, and the couple never knew.
Yeah. And that's the goal always,
Yes.
is that the couple doesn't know.
Yes.
Yeah, my goal is always not to tell the couple if there's something going awry. Some couples want to know every detail as they go along, but I think that most couples really want to be present with their guests and taking in every moment. And it happens so fast. We encourage couples to really take that time to stand back and just watch what's going on, and to stand with each other and just hold hands and take it all in. And you can't do that if you're trying to run around and solve all the problems and put out all the fires. Yeah. And actually that leads me nicely into my next topic, which is advice for couples. I think that might be one of my biggest pieces of advice, is take that time during your wedding day, because you've spent a year, 8 months, a year and a half, whatever it is, planning your wedding, and it's going to be over like that. 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours goes by in the blink of an eye when all of the things are happening, and you're getting ready, and you're getting dressed, and you're getting photos, and you're doing a first look, and you have the ceremony, and then you're trying to mingle with your guests, whether that's at cocktail hour or you're doing table visits, and it just all happens so fast. So when you're scheduling, try to find time to just stand back with your partner, your new spouse, and just take it all in. That might be my biggest piece of advice, because it just is over in the blink of an eye. So take a few minutes after the ceremony, before the family photos. Schedule some time during the cocktail hour or during the dance to just meet up and stand back and watch and look and take it all in. Do either of you have any advice that you would want to pass on to couples?
Probably the biggest advice that I've been giving to couples recently is just reminding them to focus on what matters most to them, that there's not a right or wrong way to do it, and that you will have many very well-meaning people around you giving you ideas and advice, but both in the planning and the decisions you make while you're planning, but also on the day of, to focus on what matters most to you. It does not have to be picture perfect from a magazine. It does not have to look the same as Cousin Susie's wedding 2 years ago. It should look and feel like you. So focus on what matters most to you, and let some of the other details that aren't as important go. It's okay to let some of those old traditions, those little details go.
Yeah, and that's always such a tough thing to navigate, because there are so many opinions and ideas and pressures coming at you from every angle when you're planning your wedding. And sometimes it's easier just to cave and say, okay, Mom, I'll do it your way. Or, okay, sister-in-law, you're right, I should do that and not this. So it's often easier said than done. But yeah, finding ways to truly make your wedding yours that's why I named the business Unmistakably You, because it's impossible to spell, but it is the core of what I believe in terms of your wedding day. It should be about you. And we know that sometimes there have to be compromises and there needs to be some give and take. But, ultimately, your parents, your aunts, your sister, your, well-meaning cousin, they had their wedding. If you can find a way to make this your wedding, that's ultimately what you should aim for. And we're going to post lots of beautiful upcoming predicted trends in the next couple of weeks. But if you really hate wildflowers with no structure, don't do wildflowers with no structure just because a lot of other people are doing it in 2025. Or if you hate that caterpillar table look, which is huge, don't do the caterpillar tables. To be honest with you, it's actually going to cost you more money to do it that way. So do what you want to do. Don't do something just because it's a trend. My mom will tell you the story till she's blue in the face about how she bought her wedding dress because it was on the cover of a magazine, and she hated it, but it was on the cover of a magazine. So she thought it was, 1977 hip or whatever. So do what you want to do, not what's on the magazine covers, not what everybody else is telling you. Emma, what about you? What would you tell couples who are planning their weddings for 2025 and beyond?
I would say to pick vendors that you really trust and understand your vision, and that you trust that they understand your vision.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like they get what you're going for, is what I would say.
Yeah, so important. One of the things that I think I've heard disturbingly an increasing number of couples talking about over the past few years are vendors that are not responsive, or that are not as communicative as couples would like. And so, from that first meeting, go with your gut. Go with, whether they feel like whether you feel like they understand your vision, and obviously, if they work with your budget, but also, do they answer the questions that you ask them by email, or do they gloss over a bunch of stuff? Do they respond in a timely fashion? Those are the kinds of things that a lot of couples I've heard recently are having challenges with, are vendors that they don't feel are that they're not prioritizing them as they would like. So yeah, finding those vendors that you gel with is so important. And finding vendors too that maybe have worked together before. And it's not to say that you can't hire a vendor who hasn't worked with another one of your vendors, but the wedding industry ultimately is pretty small, and finding vendors that work well together is going to only strengthen your wedding day because the communication and the relationship is already there. So yeah. Just as we get close to the end here, thanks to anybody who's catching us live or catching us on the replay. I know that technology isn't always the best, so if I've missed a comment from somebody, I apologize. Again, the gremlins that are in my computer that make the technology mess up. But we're happy always to answer any questions or handle anything via DM or private message, or send us an email. Amy at Unmistakably You, Rebecca at Unmistakably You, Emma at Unmistakably You. We're happy to chat in person at any point. But looking into 2025, we're excited about another busy season. I know I did 26 weddings as a lead coordinator this year. Emma, how many did you do this year?
I only did 5 leads, but I also did 4 assists.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit less busy, but
busy. Well, but still busy.
Still busy.
And Rebecca, talk to us from the studio perspective.
So from the studio perspective, I have my little post-it note because I was not going to remember this.
Love it. Lots of numbers.
Lots and lots of numbers. So we hosted 5 different special events, things like workshops at the studio. We had 27 studio rentals for different events. We had awesome. 13 in-studio elopements and 4 micro weddings at the studio this year, for a total of 49 events in our studio.
That's amazing. And I thank you both, because there's no way on earth that one human could do all of these things. So one of the things that I'm most thankful for, I know we're a little bit past Thanksgiving, but one of the things that I'm most thankful for is that I have such incredible humans on my team to work with. I'm very grateful for that as we move into a busy 2025 season as well. But for anybody watching, we do definitely still have studio space, and we still have availability on weekends to coordinate or to plan your wedding. And we would love to be brought on board to help you to plan a day that is representative of you, and that you can actually truly enjoy and be present to celebrate with your guests. So if you're catching us live or catching us on a replay, and you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to chat with you about your day and how we can help make it as seamless as possible. We are also right in the middle of our 12 days of Christmas. And it's 12 days of I do's. Sorry, don't mean to put a Christmas stamp on that. 12 days of I do's. I actually recently heard that apparently I did this wrong. Apparently the 12 days of Christmas, like if you're doing the whole partridge in a pear tree situation, apparently that's the 12 days after Christmas. So I don't know whether we should maybe do this again. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that I mathed the math wrong. But we are doing the 12 days before Christmas. And so every day we have a promotion or an inspiration or a special deal that you can take advantage of. We've got some pretty awesome stuff, from free downloadable resources to discounted planning sessions and that sort of thing. So all of those things over the last few days and the next 8 days. Are we 8 days from Christmas? All of those things are available to you at any point in the next couple of weeks. So if you head back over to our socials and see something that's interesting, drop us a DM. If it's from day 1 and it's now day 5, we're still more than happy to honor that deal and to help you to plan what is hopefully an awesome wedding that is unmistakably you. even if it's hard to spell. So we're just over half an hour here. That's kind of what I was aiming for. Any last words of wisdom or thoughts or anything else you'd like to share with anybody who's tuning in, ladies?
Just have fun. I think there's so much stress about how it should look, how it should run, and those are important details, but at the end of the day, it is meant to be a fun day. It is meant to be a celebration of you and for you. So find ways to add more fun, silly fun, pretty fun, whatever kind of fun it is you like. Have fun along the way and on your day, and then you're winning.
Absolutely. Love that. Very well said. And I think those are excellent words to end with. So, Rebecca, I think it's bad luck to cheers with water. So let's pretend that your clear liquid is vodka. Everybody, cheers to you. Cheers to love. Cheers to your upcoming wedding. And happy holidays, everybody. Take some time to relax, sit back, just spend some quality time with your partner, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help you out with planning your special day. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining in.